Welcome, everybody, and hello. I'm Brian Burke, the editor of the Music and Sound Retailer magazine, and we have a great guest today, Nick Miller, Vice President of Sales at Podium. This was the talk of I don't know. I guess I could call it the talk of the town. Maybe would be the proper way in Nashville. It was brought up. There was at the NASMD show. And for those not familiar with that, it's the National Association of School Music Dealers. They had a best ideas session where a main topic of the session was Podium. So that I attended. And then it was a big talk was Podium at Summer NAMM. So, and I know you guys had a booth there. So some facts. So we're going to discuss all that, but thanks for joining me, Nick. And I first want to get into your background. Just tell us about yourself, your background, your family, your time at Podium, and a little about your career.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with you and tell you a little bit about what we're trying to build here. I've been at Podium for nearly 6 years, which is almost the entire lifetime of Podium. It's not a very old company, and started with when I started, we were about 15 of us in above like kind of an attic of an old bike shop. And that's where we started. And since then, we've grown to about 1,200 employees, mostly here in Utah, just south of Salt Lake City. And we do have offices in Australia and in Brazil and a few other places now as well. And have about, over 120,000 local businesses that are using Podium today. And so it's been a fun ride. We've learned a lot in the last 6-7 years as we've tried to listen to our retailers and our customers of the business challenges they had, as that the macroeconomics have shifted in the way people shop and the way people interact with businesses. And really the goal for us is to help bridge that gap of the way that consumers want to interact and want to communicate with their businesses. And we want to give businesses an easy way to reciprocate that.
Yeah, it's great. Great to hear it. And give us some, get into more details of exactly what Podium is and what it does. And I know it's a messaging service, but obviously it's not that simple. So tell me about everything it does and why it's helpful for, ours are the music instrument retailers. I know it helps all retailers, but specifically why it would help all retailers.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it's helpful to actually hear a little bit of the background of like how we came to be. So real briefly, the idea, we started in reviews. So online reviews, that's how we got our start. And that idea came from our founder, Eric Ray. His dad actually owned a couple tire shops up in Canada, up in Alberta, Canada, and had been in business for decades, right? Like running a really good tire shop, local business, and had a lot of really faithful customers that would come to him. But as online reviews became more and more prevalent, he was finding that, it wasn't his happy customers that were getting online and talking about him. It was generally the people who, for whatever reason, didn't have a great experience, and they're blasting him. And he basically went to his son. He's like, "Hey, you're young and stuff, like, how do I fix this?" And as they tried to solve that problem for his business, found there really wasn't a great solution at the time to help him generate better reviews for his tire shop, which is really where the concept of Podium started, with that online reviews of like, how do we give a voice not to just the upset customers, but just the happy customers as well, your general happy customer base. And so we developed a way, and we found that the best medium for that, like to get to customers and have them respond, was actually through a text message rather than emails or phone calls that just, we're so inundated with those. Like no one answers a phone call that they don't, you don't recognize the number, that goes to voicemail. Emails, I get like, I don't know how many a day that go directly to my spam box. And so we found that sending that request for review via text made a huge difference with the response rate and how fast people would respond. And so we built a reviews tool that would allow local businesses to generate hundreds and hundreds of great reviews to sites like Google. And that's where we got our start. And it was really impactful. It still is. It's still a big part of our product today. But as we were sending out these texts to, or as our customers were sending out to their texts, we saw people responding, and people wanted more of that type of communication. And you've seen that just, I think, in the way even we interact with in our personal lives, that texting has just become such a normal and the most widely used form of communication in a lot of regards. And so we've expanded our product to what we've coined the phrase as interaction management software. So anytime you can interact with your customer, whether that's pre-sale, as you're just try to get someone in the door, or during like that interaction process of maybe of the sale itself, or servicing that account, or post-sale, we found that messaging with your customers is a really, really effective way to communicate, and it's the preferred method for most people. And in the past, it's been challenging for businesses to kind of meet people there, and there's been logistical issues with that, and even legal issues of like how do you navigate that world of texting with your customers. And I think that's one of the things that makes retailers and in your industry as well so excited about a Podium, is it gives them a software to manage and communicate that way in a really simple and easy to use format that's pretty robust. Again, from first interaction, when they're first looking for someone like you online, all the way to post interactions and generating repeat business from your current customer base.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can say I'm familiar with a bunch of things you're saying there. I think I have like one friend who still calls me, and that's it. I think everyone else just texts, and that person who calls me, I'm like, why are you calling? That's the way the world has gone to. Like, let's just text. So
It's
I
bad.
understand that.
Like this, I had an experience like 2 weeks ago, and I called it's actually my wife's grandpa. I called him, left a voicemail, and he's older, so I figured that was the best. And then about 3 minutes later, he texts me. He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, not even my wife's grandpa calls me back anymore. He's texting me. So
yeah, I mean, and I also get the feedback thing that you discussed, because I know I'm in a different field as a journalist, but journalists only get negative feedback generally. If someone's happy, you don't generally, people are not rushing to email you or text you. So it's when they're unhappy with something is when you hear about it. So I completely understand that too. So it's a fascinating story that I really can relate to. So it's great. And I also know if I need tires when I'm in Canada, and where to go. So
there you go.
that's good. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask about the technology. I mean, do you think it's the way that retailers specifically are going to chat with their customers? Has that forever changed? I mean, it seems like a new way to go about this, and a really different way and a really unique way. So have things changed possibly forever?
Yeah, I think it's not even I think so. That it definitely has, and we see those trends. And what's interesting is those trends were coming, and a lot of it was coming from some of the really big influencers, generational industry changing businesses like your Googles, like your Facebooks, like your Amazons, that people like they get used to operating a certain way. So as an example, Amazon, obviously taking the retail world by storm. And I know it's for some retailers that's like almost a cuss word, but it is what it is, right? Like, I mean, that exists and people use it, and it's convenient, and they get used to that, not interacting with someone, and they get used to being able to purchase what they want in 2 or 3 clicks and having it show up at their door. And that conditioning then bleeds over to what they expect in other experiences, whether that's with other retailers or with just other businesses in general. So you see some of those things influencing how then brick and mortar or local businesses or even other online retailers have to then adapt. And it's not just with things like retailers or Amazon, but companies like Google, right? If we talk about online reviews, they shift their product to match online reviews and making that a large portion of how local businesses show up in search results. And so it wasn't just that you had to have good reviews, but you have to have a lot of reviews for Google to think, hey, this is a pertinent business. This is a business that we should show. If someone searches music store near me or best place to buy a new trumpet, Google is determining largely how they show you on Google based off of your content, but also a lot based off your reviews. And so those companies that the general consumer base, the changes those big companies are making, like businesses have to adapt to it, right? So if, I mean, Google's a perfect example. If you're not showing up on the first page of Google, you might as well not exist, right? You know, you can be on the corner, but like there's so many options of both locally and online now to buy, but those still all search, you know, start with a Google search. And so to your question, yes, it has changed and it will continue to evolve. And what was interesting is I think COVID actually expedited a lot of the changes that were already coming and just forced it from like, hey, it's a nice to have to like, you have to have this to stay in business now. Things like being able to communicate with your customers online and a way for them to start interacting with you from some online portal, whether that's your website, your Google My Business page, or your Facebook page, whatever it happens to be. Expectations have changed, right? Like people expect that online experience, but maybe an in-store pickup. And then how do you communicate with customers who have done those online orders, but want to pick up something outside of your store? So there's a lot that like, a lot of like this just fundamental change that was coming that suddenly like crashed on everybody when COVID hit. And the trends that we're seeing is that those will stay, right? A lot of them will stay. I mean, I think people are glad in a lot of places in the country and cross our fingers and hopefully we can continue to move in the right direction. But people like to shop locally, right? They like to brick and mortar, especially. I think that's where you see, I think that's why it resonates really well with your industry, Podium. So we really care about local business, right? And a lot of these retailers, they're not the big box retailers. These are local business owners, and people like to do that, but they do expect some level of convenience. And so having a Podium-like software in your business allows you to operate almost like one of the big players and have those same kind of modern ways of communicating and meeting some of the expectations that maybe people have been conditioned for with some of the big players. But have that in your local business and allow you to continue to thrive and again, modernize the way you actually interact with your customers.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely, I think COVID has definitely made it, expedited, as you said. I mean, some retailers in all industries, not just ours, might have been slower to pick up something like that. Might have seen you as a new company. I mean, I guess you're still only 7 years old, right? So you're still pretty young. So I mean, they might have said, well, I'm going to take some time, to do these things. But COVID really picked that up and said, hey, we have to think differently. So I think a lot of people have made a lot of changes. So that's important. Yeah. And then, this is great stuff. Next, I wanted to know about the Summer NAMM experience you had. I mean, I'm sure it was I'm assuming, you have to tell me, but I'm assuming it was the first time you exhibited there because they didn't have a show last year. So I'm guessing that would be the case. Did you, did you get some good feedback there from the retailers, and they tell you about the product, what they like, and give you any, any more information?
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was our first time showing there, and we've had a relationship with NAMM for a little while now, and it's been a great partner of ours. And so it was fun to showcase there. Listen, a couple things with that. First of all, like the industry, we really, really like it, right? Like, so we don't operate just in this industry. We're in a lot of different retailers, but also service industries, financial services, professional services, healthcare. Like we span a lot of, like, probably 6 or 7 kind of major verticals. But every now and then you find maybe like a sub vertical of a vertical, and you're like, man, this is just a really good fit. And we walked away from that show feeling like, okay, this is like a place that we feel like we can make a really big difference. And then, the second part of that is, we heard really good things from our current customers. And one of the things that we've really tried to do, I think one of the things that made Podium successful so far is that we don't build things that we we think are cool or that we think might resonate. Like we build things that our customers say, not that like they're not saying like, hey, I need this tool. They say, hey, I have this problem in my business. Can you help me solve that problem? And then we work with our customers and say, like, how would we solve that problem? And then we try to build a product that matches like that, right? So that's always been our mantra as we've invested in our own tool and in our own software, is like, let's build things that solve real problems, not just things that sound cool or that we think are cool. Like, let's figure out what the real problems are. And so it's been good to hear feedback from the industry of like, yeah, we're solving real issues for them and helping them grow their business. That's a common thing we hear is like, we're getting more leads in the door. They're coming to us because they said we had the best reviews online. Hey, I started this conversation online through your tool on my website, and then it led to a $10,000 piano purchase. Like, so it's good to hear those stories of the impact that we're having. And that's always been our commitment to our customers, is we'll continue to listen. And as things evolve, we'll try to listen to what challenges you have and build things that help hopefully solve those challenges for you. Last thing I'll say, one of the things that is actually resonating really well right now that's new for us is actually our ability to collect payments, both via text. So if it's not in person or like a card not present type of transaction that happens more frequently in retail than it used to, we're able to actually collect that through a secure payment through a text message. So we're seeing that payment actually being gathered a lot faster, maybe outstanding invoices that we're able to collect in a much easier way. And then we've actually started doing full payment processing now as well. So that's one of the things we heard from retailers is like, man, if we could just go end to end with Podium, we would do it. And so we said, all right. So we partnered with a large company called Stripe out of the Bay Area. They're awesome. We partnered with them, built a tool where we can actually be a full end-to-end solution, even in collecting payment. And what makes Podium really powerful as a payment processor is that allows us to do a lot of cool things in the rest of the software, like send out a review invitation, like gather feedback on that customer of like, when are they purchasing? What are they purchasing? Okay, now let's build a database of opt-ins for text message marketing. And so having that kind of last touch point for Podium now allows us to really make the rest of our platform even more robust than it was before. So it's been good.
Wow, that's good stuff. Well, I was going to ask you about future goals or plans. How you're going to make it better? I think you already explained that. So thank you for that. And pardon me for the backgrounds, the editor's phone ringing. So I had it in the back there. So I apologize, everyone.
That's all good.
And then you're listening to this. But great. I think you gave us the information that we'll need then. Anything you want to add? Any other things you want to bring up?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, just that we really, really enjoy your industry. And if you want to learn more, it's easy to get information just at podium.com. And there's a lot there. And look, again, our goal is to help modernize the way that local businesses interact with their customers, and look forward to continuing to hopefully grow with you guys in this industry. And that's it. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you. I really enjoy the industry too, so I hope so. I need to, right? So
you're a little more stuck in it than we are, I guess.
Yeah, but, yeah. You have other. I'm all in. I got all the eggs in one basket. You could like go to different places. So that's pretty cool. But thank you. I want to thank Nick Miller, and to the retailers watching. This is this could be another way, a great service that you might want to consider implementing. So thank you. Well, that's why we want to bring you these videos, to get more information about these products. So thanks, Nick, and I really appreciate it, and best of luck to the company.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.